action on NFL Primetime. In New Orleans, the Dome Patrol tried to doom the Niners. Atlanta has become the latest team to wonder, is there anything? I said, is there anything that can stop the Skins? The hits kept on coming in the Battle of Texas, a mile-high battle in the AFC West between two old friends. There was something for everybody, even the Bucs, even the Colts. We're shaking, we're shuffling, we're on fire on Primetime. Good. Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to ESPN's NFL Primetime for Week 11. I'm Chris Berman. For the first time in 7 weeks, nobody had the day off. We got a lot of football to show you. And to help walk me through, or rather run me through this all, Tom Jackson, Robin Roberts, we're ready to show you a lot of nail-biters just as it was last week. Sunday Night Football on ESPN. 6 years ago in '85, the Dolphins hosted the Patriots in the AFC Championship game for the right to go to the Super Bowl. Things have changed. Patriots just trying to get respectable. Dolphins want to get in a playoff hunt, get to 5-5, back to 500. Here's what happened at Joe Robbie Stadium as we take a look at the action. Hugh Millen. Well, he's got his watch straight, but doesn't have the snap straight this time. Dan Marino snapped out of a slump to Mark Clayton. Beats David Poole at the touchdown. The Dolphins lead at 17-6 at the half. Fourth quarter, the Patriots come back. Cliff Odom tips it into the hands of starving Marvin Cook. Millen for the touchdown. Dick McPherson's club is tied at 20 all. Late in the fourth quarter, minutes to go, under 2 minutes to go. Marino, the pass to Clayton. He beats Poole again, dumps him in the pool. 32-yard touchdown. Dick McPherson wears his emotion on his sleeve and his nice camel hair coat. But it was the Miami Dolphins 30 and the New England Patriots 20 in Sunday Night Football on ESPN. Joe Theismann, of course, called the game with Mike Patrick here on ESPN. And Joe, pretty good game for the M&M guys. You expect Dan Marino to play well. Millen also played well.
He really did, Chris. You know, if you look at the statistics of these two quarterbacks, it's sort of hard to tell which one won and which one didn't. Dan Marino came out and did the things he had to do by throwing the football up the field, threw for 263 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But Hugh Millen, who's really trying to win that quarterback position for New England, 20 for 26, 257 yards. He just had the unfortunate accident of when he took the snap from center in the fourth quarter, fell down, still tried to make a play, but couldn't come up with it.
Joe, obviously the Dolphins, a far cry from the team they were last year, 12-4, won a playoff game with the Chiefs, went into Buffalo and played tough. They're 5-5 now. They're in the hunt. Are they really in the hunt, or does it just look good now?
Well, Chris, first of all, I think it looks good now, but we won't know that except for 2 more weeks. They play Buffalo next week on Monday night. Then they go to Chicago to play the Bears. In the next 2 weeks, we will know whether or not the Dolphins are for real and are really going to make a run at a playoff spot.
All right, Joe, we know one team that is for real, the Houston Oilers. You get to see them next week. We'll join you then.
The run and shoot. We're on our way.
There you go. You can't wait. That's next week here on Sunday Night Football on ESPN. The Houston Oilers. They've won 8 in a row in the Dome. They host their AFC Central rival, the Cleveland Browns. That's Cleveland at Houston at 8 Eastern next Sunday on ESPN. When we return, we'll show you what happened on the gridiron in the afternoon in week number 11. Buffalo Bills, first of a 3-game road swing, had their hands full for a while with the Green Bay Packers. Stay with us. Highlights coming at you.
Tonight.
NFL Primetime is brought to you by Dollar Rent-A-Car. Right on the airport, right on the money. By BASF, the spirit of innovation. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud.
All right, everything's over now on the afternoon of the NFL. We'd like to welcome those of you that have watched the Los Angeles Raiders defeat the Denver Broncos, where no one is going in and beating the Broncos thus far this year. Mile High Stadium, 17-16, Art Shell, 5-0 against Dan Reeves. And John Carney's field goal of 54 yards in the final minute was the difference. The Chargers beat the Seahawks 17-14 at the Murph. Highlights of both later on. Starting this week, I think we get a good understanding of, are the Buffalo Bills going to make it back to the Super Bowl, and are they going to give somebody trouble, maybe even win it? 5 of their last 7 games are on the road. They began today with the first of 3 in a row on the road, on the frozen tundra of Milwaukee's County Stadium, playing the Green Bay Packers. First drive, the Bills start out of their own end zone. Andre Reed can't hold on. Second drive, Jim Kelly looking like he's having trouble with the Packer defense. You know he's having trouble on the third drive. So Green Bay playing some inspired football against Marv Levy's Buffalo Bills. Then, down 7-0 in the second quarter. Kelly's pass tipped out of the hands of Thurman Thomas, but in the hands of Andre Reed. Before they changed the rule, that wouldn't have been a touchdown, but it is one at 7-7. Later in the second quarter, the Bills down 10-7. Don Beebe gets the BB from Kelly for 12 yards, 14-10 Buffalo at the half. Scare in the third quarter big time. Chuck Cecil, Sean Patterson wedged Kelly to the turf. Major back pain, missed a play, missed another series, but in came Thurman Thomas to the rescue. And his tribute to Magic Johnson, those feet were magic for the Buffalo Bills, as they always are. Looking to make the move, make the cut into the end zone touchdown. Buffalo was in trouble, but now they lead it 21-10. Mike Tomczak starting for the injured Don Mikowski for Lindy and Fonnie's Packers. And Tomczak shows some presence of mind, Tom.
Under a lot of pressure by the Bills here, he starts out of the pocket to his right, has the presence of mind to look back and lateral the ball to Daryl Thompson, who runs it up for a first down.
They said in Chicago that Tomczak didn't have the big league arm, but watch this play as he throws on the move to Sterling Sharp, and he makes a nice play, too.
Throwing to a big league receiver who has lots of strength. You can't arm tackle him on the way to the end zone.
Mike Tomczak throwing 23 of 38 today for 317 yards. Nice job in the relief of the Magic Man. Once upon a time, James Lofton was a Packer hero. He knows the weather, he knows the turf, and he knows how to catch balls from Jim Kelly. On the same drive, Kelly fakes to Kenneth David, the Butch roll, but he drops an easy touchdown. Would have been 11 for 11, so Jimbo says, hey, forget Thurman Thomas, I'm going to run it in myself. The Bills struggled for a while, but then took a big lead. Packers scored a touchdown late, but it was a 10-point win for the Buffalo Bills. They win it 34-24, and unless they play Tampa Bay, the Green Bay Packers have absolutely no chance of winning. The record falls to 2-8, and the Bills are 9-1. Thomas, 106 yards rushing, 140 more receiving. The Lions at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Wayne Fontes, one-time defensive coordinator for the Buccaneers back when they were good in the early 80s. Earlier this year, the Lions were good, 31-3 over the Buccaneers, but look at Dexter Manley. Fourth to Pepper, which Tim Newton recovers early on for a fired-up Tampa Bay Buccaneers squad. Don't say we didn't warn you. Then, Tampa decides early on we'll give it to Reggie Cobb. Reggie runs for 5 yards. Then, Reggie Cobb will run for 9 yards. He's a large individual. And Reggie Cobb, one more time, he's an end zone individual. It's a touchdown, 7-0 Tampa Bay, smelling upset over the 6-3 Lions going in. First time they've scored on their first possession all year. Meanwhile, Barry Sanders at over 160 yards and 3 touchdowns. First time the teams met, but only had 14 yards in the first half today, and some good D for a change.
Well, Floyd Peters' defensive unit did a good job of gang tackling Barry Sanders, especially in the first half of this football game.
So like Green Bay, Tampa Bay is a pretty good defense, but usually they're a hole when Vinny Testaverde has problems. Look at Vinny, looking like Randall Cunningham. Well, close. Shows a good presence of mind. And then look at Vinny here, just like they diagrammed it. Drop it, pick it up, complete it to Cobb. 23-7, Buccaneers at the half. Lions calling for help. Now watch the cutback moves and some downfield blocking. Cobb with the ball.
Watch the block by Lawrence Dawsey here to spring Cobb to the end zone. Makes it pretty easy.
139 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns for Reggie Cobb. First 100-yard game for a Tampa Bay rusher since September 1990. You knew, though, even down 30-14, Barry Sanders would get in it. And he can cut back the quick feet. Here's a 40-yard scamper. Sanders rushing for over 100 yards in the second half, finished with a $118. But defense today, as Eric Kramer's wobbler is picked off by Alonzo Hampton. Richard Williamson, a rare win for him, but he beats Wayne Fontes and the Lions 30-21. And so Tampa Bay wins for only the second time all year. We told you about Cobb. No interceptions, no fumbles, no sacks allowed by usually, well, I can't say faultless Tampa Bay. So a big day for the Buccaneers. Tommy, let's put these games together. Buffalo Bills have been in the Super Bowl. They go on the road against a team not as good as them. The Detroit Lions hoping to get in the playoffs. They go on the road against a team that doesn't look like it stacks up as good as them. One of them won, one of them didn't.
I think we saw the difference between two teams. One of them probably headed toward the Super Bowl and one of them not. The Bills go on the road. Jim Kelly realizes that his defensive unit is not up to par, came off the bench, plays tough, came off that injury, gets back in the game, wins the game for him. The Lions have not yet learned to win on the road. And we were talking about it upstairs watching the game. When they lose, they lose so badly. They don't look like the same team that they do when they're at home in their dome.
They still have an easy schedule, and they still are looking at a good spot at a playoff berth, but now they hurt their divisional chances, falling a game and a half behind the Bears, who play on Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings. So we got plenty more to tell you about. If the Bucs win, could the Colts and the Chargers win? Well, it's that kind of day. I'll tell you what, the Buccaneers scored 25 points in the first half in their first 9 games all year. Today, they had 23. Break up the Buccaneers. They're a first-half juggernaut. When we return, the Bengals looking for 2 in a row. Speaking of woe-begotten teams, could they shuffle over Pittsburgh? And could the Redskins go double-digit, become only the 14th team to start an NFL season 10-0? They play the Falcons. We'll show you what happened again and again. Of initials, C-O-L-T-S, Colts, and J-E-T-S, who won the spelling bee?
E-R-I-C. Eric didn't. He wasn't there.
That's right.
That much we do know. But what can we say about the Colts? Well, they hadn't scored a touchdown in their last 5 games, covering 20 quarters and 53 possessions. They've only scored an NFL low, there you are, 61 points over 9 games. Never mind. 9 games, all of them 9 losses, and Rick Venturi had yet to taste victory as the Colts head coach. Well, 3 weeks ago, the Jets beat them, and you figure that the Colts had a chance to sweep. They had a chance to sweep the Colts, but it was a raw day at the Meadowlands. Jets up 7-0, driving again. Ken O'Brien thinks that Chris Driscoll has it, but he doesn't. Then Pat Leahy misses the field goal. He missed 2 first-half field goals. Second quarter, Jets get a spark. O'Brien pump fakes, rolls, finds Chris Burkett. He does the rest on his own, hurtling in from the 4. Jets up 14-0. Burkett with a 15-yard scoring play. On the other side of the ball, Jeff George gets sandwiched by Darrell Davis and Dennis Byrd. But George hung in there, TJ.
And Robin, Jeff George has a lot of ability. Here you see him throwing against his body. Beautiful throw to the end zone. He'll be a great quarterback if he only lives through this season.
That's true. Jesse Hester breaks the streak. The Colts' first touchdown in 58 possessions. Opening kickoff of the second half. Clarence Verdun. Chris, he could go all the way.
He might.
He does. 88 yards. For the first time, a Colt has done that since 84-14 all time. 21-14 Jets. Colts' next possession. George finds Hester again for a touchdown from 7 yards out. It's 21 all. Then after the Jets fumbled the ensuing kickoff, George finds Billy Brooks on the same pattern, also from 7 yards out. George matches his season touchdown total in approximately 1 quarter. Colts up 28-24, but the Jets wouldn't quit, TJ.
They reach into their trick bag for the flea flicker. Hector throws the ball back quickly to O'Brien. He underthrew this pass. Terrence Mathis made the nice adjustment to get the catch.
Great concentration. Bruce Koslick's team would have to settle for a field goal. 28-24 Colts. Next kickoff, Sammy Martin. He fumbles. John Galvin recovers for the Jets, and the Jets fans start to heat up just a little bit. Pat Leahy gets a little help from the doink. Left upright, goes in from 25 yards out. Jets down by 1. 2:49 left. Fourth quarter. Colts next possession. 3rd and 3. George is picked off by Mike Brim. George 16 of 26, 239 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. Would that be enough? The Colts D responds. Donnell Thompson gets the Colts' first and last sack of the game. That's right. Rick Venturi gets his first win as the Colts head coach. They win 28-27. The NFL's last winless streak this season comes to an end at 9. Jeff George was 16 of 26 for 239 yards with 2 interceptions. The Jets hurt their playoff chances, falling to 5-5. Now, could the Bengals make it 2 wins in a row? Sam Weiss, well, what can go wrong now? We picked up our first win last week. Well, his top back, Harold Green, leads in the first quarter with a sprained right knee. Boomer Esiason, though, says don't worry. Here he hits Tim McGee for a 52-yard strike. And then in comes an old face, Ickey Woods, on the very next play. Ickey sweeps left 4 yards for the touchdown. Bengals in the lead, 7-0. The question now is, will he or won't he do the shuffle? Sam doesn't want to look, but nothing's going to stop Ickey from doing the Ickey shuffle. Chris and TJ say, they'll pay your fine, Ickey. Don't worry about it. Boomer. With time. Oh, the other Boomer. To Rodney Holman for an 18-yard touchdown play. Great day for Boomer Esiason. 32 of 43 for 361 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. It wasn't perfect, though, for Boomer. He's blindsided by David Johnson. Jarrell Williams picks it up, scampers in 38 yards for the touchdown. Pittsburgh down 17-13 after 3. Boomers, Maryland counterpart Neil O'Donnell routed the Steelers in the third. Here, O'Donnell hits Ernie Mills for 35 yards and a touchdown. It's 24-20 midway through the fourth. Chuck Snow says, do it again, Neil. 4th and 7 on the Cincy 13. Lewis Lips on the sidelines, and he bowls in for the score, TJ.
And if you watch this throw and catch, watch Lips get the ball. He's always been known for a guy who can be injured, but he doesn't pay any attention to his body. He bowls over 3 bingles to get into the end zone right there.
And Neil O'Donnell matched Boomer's stats. 24 of 39, 309 yards on the day. With less than a minute to go, Boomer drives the Bengals down to the Pittsburgh 20 with its completion to Eddie Brown. And then Jim Breach comes in, a 37-yard field goal attempt. It is good. But wait a minute.
Holding on the right wing back. 10-yard penalty.
That's right, Sam. Breach has to do it again. This time from 47 yards out. And again, TJ.
The knuckleball to the left and in.
But it goes. Ickey catches his little screen pass. Greg Lloyd with the hit and the fumble recovery, and he rumbles into Cincinnati territory. Then 3 plays later, O'Donnell finds a wide open Eric Green, the big man over the middle, 26 yards out, and Pittsburgh wins 33-27. Neil O'Donnell's first victory in 4 NFL starts. The Bengals streak of 6 consecutive victories over Pittsburgh comes to an end, so they're not going to go Cincinnati 8-0 in the second half, maybe 7-1, but not 8-0.
They shot a couple of Maryland quarterbacks there, O'Donnell and Esiason at the end of the game. Now they won't go 8-0, but Steelers have the Skins coming in next week.
That's
Ain't they
true.
ready?
I think so.
Well, they'll give it their best shot, that's for sure. I'll tell you what, it's like clockwork. Veterans Day weekend every week. Tampa Bay offense comes alive, and so does the Indianapolis Colts offense. Through up to this mark, 9 games into the season, they had scored only 4 touchdowns all year. Today against the Jets, they equaled their season total. Their yards were up, and for the first time all year, they were winners. When we come back, the hard-hitting battle of the Lone Star State. Stay with us. Of Texas, which, unlike other years when the Oilers and Cowboys play, wasn't just, okay, who gets bragging rights in the state, because both of these teams, Houston and Dallas, are hunting bigger game in January. They're thinking hard about the playoffs, as well they should. Al Del Greco, new kicker for the Oilers. He would play a role, but early on, the punter in trouble. Greg Montgomery's punt is blocked by Isaac Holt. Robert Williams blocked a punt last week. This time he picks up the block, goes in for a touchdown. And the Dallas special team's doing the job, although a bit illegally.
Yeah, you watch number 51, Eric Fair there. He's tackled by Derek Brownlow, and that's what enables the block kick.
Hey, if it works, why not? So Derek Brownlow says, this time I won't tackle anybody. I'll block a punt myself. 3 blocked punts in 2 games from the fired-up special teams of the Cowboys. They lead at 10-7 late in the first half. Warren Moon. All his great receivers, who's he find? Pat Coleman, free agent, 25-yard pickup, which sets up 52 yards. Al Del Greco. Why did they sign him early on in the year? It's good. And we're tied at 10. They cart off Holt and Nate Newton. Holt, not a lot of room on that cart. Larry Brown, the other corner, is carted off, so instead of passing what? Lorenzo White runs at 23-16 Oilers. Dallas' next drive. Troy Aikman sacked by Ray Childress. Eric Williams recovers the football for Dallas, fortunately for the Cowboys. Mike Saxon punts. And this time the Oilers punt team has a problem on the other end. Watch it hit Steve Jackson, and Billy Bates Motel recovers for the Dallas Cowboys.
This is going to happen sometimes, but I have to wonder what it was that Jackson thought that thud was on his head.
Yeah, follow the ball, son. The next play, you can't advance them up, so they just get the ball. Aikman the dart to Michael Irvin. Boy, do these two quarterbacks, Aikman and Moon, throw the prettiest footballs in the NFL? I think so. We're tied at 23. Moon drives the Oilers downfield after the Irvin touchdown pass, and Drew Hill has it at the 33-yard line. Sets up. Del Greco for the winner, 41-yard. Doink! It's off the upright. And the fans were remembering Ian Hounfield, but that's not fair. Del Greco's had a good game. In the overtime, Dallas drives to the 24, but Emmitt Smith, for the first time in 245 times rushing or receiving, fumbles the ball. Bubba McDowell recovers. Not a good day for that man, the NFC leader in rushing going into the game. Then what time was it? It was Moon time. Warren to Low White. And then after he hit Low White, it was time to hit the 7 Dwarfs. Here he hits Curtis Duncan for 11 yards. 2 for 2 on this drive. Then back to Lorenzo White. Then back to one of the dwarfs, Duncan, for 12 yards. Then back to Drew Hill, 14 yards. He's 5 for 5. Could he make it 6 for 6? Yes, to Pat Coleman. Then back to White for a 3-yard pickup. Then he hits Ernest Gibbons from
Louisville.
Makes a nice catch. 8 for 8 is Moon on the drive. Terrible day. 432 yards, 41 of 56. After a run by White, Moon gives it to him again. Look what happens. Almost loses the football, instead loses his helmet. That hurt, but the Oilers they would take that choice. And now, bring on Del Greco. It's good. Montgomery with the hold, and Houston beats Dallas. 26-23. Al Del Greco. Finally, the Oilers have a place kicker they can trust. Hit 4 field goals. Jack Party a happy man. As in overtime, the Oilers up their mark 8-2. They beat the Cowboys 26-23. Cowboys fall to 6-4 in an entertaining football game, that's for sure. Eagles and the Browns in Cleveland. Bernie Kosar came in chasing the record of the legendary Bob Starr. How many passes does he need to break the record without an incompletion? Well, he needed 2, and very exciting.
And what a great throw he made to get that record, Chris.
Meanwhile, Jim McMahon, playing for the Eagles, picked off of the rookie Eric Turner. He's large. He's fast. And he's in the end zone. A touchdown. The Browns lead at 10-0, a 42-yard return. And welcome to the dog pound, the rookie Eric Turner. Rich Kotite not pleased. And he wasn't pleased with this either.
Kosar very smartly picks up the blitz, throws the ball to Leroy Horde. And as you say, he is a very large individual rumbling toward the end zone.
Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Back and I've got 65 yards, and the Browns lead the Eagles, who were all over the Giants Monday night at 16-0. Kosar under pressure. Finally, it ends. 16th pass of the game. The streak stops at 3:08 when Ben Smith made the interception. But a new record in the NFL, Bernie Kosar, 3:08. That's the mark they've been looking to break. Sad, like days of yore. Kosar to Reggie Foghorn Langhorn. 25 yards. Can you believe it? 30-17 at the half. Slaughter, Langhorn looked like they were going to the title game like a few years ago. Meanwhile, defense hard hitting. McMahon takes a shot from Rob Burnett. Hits him hard. But who is that masked man? It's Jim McMahon, and he hung tough. From the end zone, a pretty pass.
Beautiful throw right here to Barnett.
To Fred Barnett, who caught 8 on the day for a $1.46. Then McMahon to Calvin Williams for 9. McMahon to Keith Byers for 8. Jimmy Mack, 26 of 43 for 3 touchdowns and just a pick. And that sets up who framed Roger Ruzek for one of his 4 field goals on the day. Cleveland still leads it. Now it's 30-23. Another Ruzek field goal makes it 30-26, and on the punt, Webster Slaughter, he's out. He's in. He's in trouble.
And anytime you're trying to get out of the end zone and prevent a safety, you tend to not know how you're holding that ball. That's what partly caused that fumble.
Drummond forced it. Britt Hager recovered it 3 plays later. McMahon zipped to Calvin Williams, and the Eagles lead it after coming from way back. They lead it 32-30. Eagles defense allowed 30 points in the first half. In the second half, they allowed 24 yards in area point.
And, Chris, we enjoyed this upstairs. A foot race. Reggie White and Bernie Kosar to the sideline. Who do you think wins?
Reggie White. Kotite and the Eagles move to 5-5 in a big comeback. And the Eagles beat the Cleveland Browns 32-30. And who'd have thunk on a field with Bud Carson and Bill Belichick that 62 points would be scored in that football game. Let's go back, Tommy, to Dallas and Houston. Sign of a good, young, developing team. Let's talk about Dallas for a minute. Is enthusiasm and good, smart play on special teams. Obviously, they had that today. But Houston finally saw the worm turn a little bit for them.
Well, they saw the worm turn, and I think the importance of getting a kicker like Del Greco, more important to this team than some others. When you have the kind of offense that Houston has, you're going to move the ball. Everybody finds it hard to get inside that red zone area, get the ball into the end zone, but they're going to be down in that field goal area a lot. It's good to have a good one.
Yep, Del Greco has done it before. Remember a Monday night game where he kicked 5 field goals for the Packers in a game against the Bears? He can do it. He's indoors. He's going with a team that thinks they'll be home for the playoffs, at least one game. We got plenty more to show you on this edition of NFL Primetime. But first, I'll tell you, when Jimmy Mack is in there, it's a whole different attack for the Philadelphia Eagles. Look at the numbers. He's the mass this year, completing over 63% of his passes, 9 TDs, 6 picks. When someone else plays quarterback, 10 interceptions, no touchdowns, completions under 50%, and they always lose. Still to come, the Washington Redskins. Could they stay undefeated against the Falcons? Now they had an outside shot. They were playing at RFK. outside literally on that play. And you knew this would be a defensive battle extraordinaire between the Saints and the Niners. Stay with us. Asked in the NFL, can anybody beat the Washington Redskins? The Atlanta Falcons came off a couple of big wins over the Rams and the 49ers. They figured they'd have a shot. But what the heck? When they led it 3-0, they figured they were on their way. 56 points later, they were on their way home. Washington's RFK Stadium. But things looked grim, as in Russ Grim, early for the Skins. Here's a punt block by Darian Connor. Goodburn's punt is blocked. Falcons recover. Norm Johnson kicks a field goal, and hey, Atlanta's going to pull an upset. They lead it 3-0. Jerry Glanville with his Darth Vader coat is all pumped up. More bad news for the Skins. Charles Mann, hyperextended knee. Ernest Kleiner limps off with a sprained knee. Russ Grimm limps off with a sprained ankle. Joe Gibbs concerned. Not. Dion bundled up on the sideline with an injury, and Mark Rippon had a field day against the Falcons secondary. You know they blitz everybody? Rippon, play action, Terry Orr, touchdown, Skins 7, Falcons 3. Who's concerned now? Second quarter, the posse. And boy, did they ride it all afternoon. Mark Rippon to Gary Clark, 61 yards. The Skins lead it 14-3. Then Rippon says, I want to get in the act myself.
And if you watch this naked bootleg, Darian Connor, number 56, commits inside, leaves Rippon an easy route to the end zone.
The Redskin band decked out in their slickers. Under a minute to go in the second quarter. How bad was the Falcons secondary? You make the call. Gary Clark, what? The nearest defender is in Virginia. It's a touchdown at 28-3. Washington at the half. 113-19 in the second quarter. The Skins have put away just about everybody they played by the half. Third or fourth quarter, Jerry says, I need some help. Not even the refs could help. Griffin to Art Monk. Good coverage by Atlanta's Brian Mitchell that time, but when the posse's hot and Rippon's hot, it doesn't matter. Then, up top to Gary Clark. Elbert Shelley. Not. Scott Case. Not. Touchdown. 42-17 Skins. 4 catches. Just 4 for 203 yards by Gary Clark. It got more ugly or ecstatic, depending on which side you looked at. Rippon to Arthur Monk. Where's the defense? In the White House? 64 yards, 49-17. Your basic one-play, 64-yard drive. Rippon, 442 yards, 6 touchdowns. Also ran for 1, and then...
Always good to see a linebacker make the nice grab of the ball. Andre Collins does here. Picks off Brett Favor. Walks it in for the score.
Shannon O, and it certainly looks like they will be the show. 56-17, the Redskins flattened the Atlanta Falcons. Rippon 6 touchdown passes. Remember, Kelly had 6 earlier in the year for Buffalo. Only 5 gentlemen have ever thrown 7. Sid Luckman, Adrian Burke, George Blanda, Yale Burton, Abraham Tittle, and Joe Kapp. Rip was that close. Meanwhile, forget the offense, it was defense for the Saints against the Niners. Joe Montana out, Steve Young out. Steve, I got you, babe, Bono. Starts for the 49ers. Under pressure early. He doesn't have a chance. It's ruled an incomplete pass. His counterpart today for the Saints was Steve Walsh. He, too, had trouble with the tough Niner defense. Merton Hanks, the rookie, almost picks off a pass. And then Ricky Jackson.
You watch Ricky Jackson here. The offensive lineman run right by him. He circles around and nails Keith Henderson in the backfield.
Michael Carter, don't want to get into a strength matchup with him on the nose. Forget it, says Gil Bennerke. 49ers lead it 3-0 in the second quarter. Tom Rathman made a nice run, but he's hit the hat right on the ball. As Tommy says it, Gene Atkins, Sam Mills forced the fumble. Vince Buck, he's always around the ball, recovers. Saints have the football. Down to the 8-yard line, Walsh, Eric Martin had a feeling 1 touchdown would be enough. 7-3, despite the tough day throwing. Steve Walsh has his Saints in the lead. Following a fireworks display indoor, it was on fire. A new definition of turf toe as they watch. What is this, the Bill Parcells Gatorade treatment? I guess so. These are truly the Saints special teams putting out the fire. Would there be any fire in the 49ers? Bono, swarmed by the Saints. Sam Mills recovers.
Bono under pressure here from Pat Swilling coming from the left of your screen, and he purposely knocks that ball out. Outside linebackers have an expertise at doing that.
4 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble for Pat Swilling, a.k.a. Batman. New Orleans couldn't move the ball. The Niners get it back trailing 10-3. Harry Sidney on 2nd and 8 running to Melbourne, Australia. It's a first down, a 16-yard pickup. Steve, I got you, babe. He doesn't have you, babe. Jerry Rice. It's incomplete. Almost had the tying touchdown. Now it's late. Bono gets the play from George Seifert. The Saints dig it. They give it to Harry Sidney. Spins off one tackle. But then he fumbles with minutes to go. The Saints recover. Ricky Jackson, again the man of the hour.
Coming from the right of your screen, Ricky Jackson pursuing down the line of scrimmage, gets that arm and rips Sidney's arm up off the football to cause the fumble, and Brent Maxey recovers.
The 49ers staring at a 4-6 mark. The Saints are 9-1, and the 49ers own 6 now in games decided by a touchdown or less. And I remember a few years ago, Jim Mora said it was a close game. They lost at home to the 49ers. We ain't good enough. Well, guess what? They are good enough now. And speaking of good enough, the Washington Redskins, we thought they'd be in for a struggle. Not the case.
Well, Chris, I think it must be very comforting to Coach Gibbs when you can lose the list of walking wounded that he did during this game and add to that list Lachey, who did not play today, and still be able to put up 56 points. They did not miss a beat. This team is a bit scary, especially offensively. I mean, they're playing great defense, but offensively they are scary.
Well, they've got the road games left. The next week they will go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've got a couple of home games against the Giants and the Dallas Cowboys coming up. But the Washington Redskins play teams, nobody above 500 on the road. They do have a shot. They are already the 14th team to start the season in NFL history at least 10-0. The Washington Redskins, could they surpass the all-time mark set by Theismann and Art Monk and some others that are still there? The 83 Skins of 541s in a 16-point season. Right now, they project to 512 points. But you never know. It's within their reach. Don't forget, on this edition of Primetime, we always look at our primetime players. Look, I want to have my hand on the pulse of the NFL. Did the Giants have their hand on the pulse? Were they back in it today?
The G-men, I guess after what LT said after the Philadelphia Eagles game. Please do that. Yeah. Would this be exactly what the Giants needed playing the game that they were playing against the Cardinals? The last 6 times that they have played the Cards, they've won all 6 times, including the last 2 at Sun Devil Stadium where the 2 played today. Now, the Giants needed a win to get back to 500. And after LT's comments, they needed a win, period. The quarterback controversy continues between Jeff Hostetler and Phil Simms. You know Hoss was the man. He shows his versatility in the first quarter on 3rd and 5. Hoss scrambles up the middle. He goes all the way from 47 yards out, just like that. The G-men up 7-0, TJ.
Yeah, watch it again. At the top of the screen, number 38, Mike Zordich, the safety, misses the open field tackle right there. And Haas makes his way to the end zone.
Yeah, Ray Henley, he likes that. Second quarter, Rodney Hampton rumbles for 34 yards. And then 2 plays later, Hampton gets the call again. Up and over the top, 14-0 Giants. Hampton with 99 yards on the day, including that touchdown. Third quarter controversy, 14-7 Giants. Giants on the 3-yard line. Hostetler pumps fakes as though the fumble or an incomplete pass.
That it was a forward pass, incomplete.
Yeah, the Giants stay on the 3-yard line. Hostetler runs the play fake around the right side. Now take a look at this. Does he hit the sideline? He does get in for the score. It's 21-7 Giants. Fourth quarter, Stan Gailbaugh replaces Tom Tupa, and it pays off. Gailbaugh, the MVP of the Waffle, the WLAF, hits Ricky Prohl from 34 yards out. They cut the lead to 21-14. The Cards get the ball back. 2 minutes left. First play of the drive. Gailbaugh goes deep, but Everson Walls picks it off. And the G-men hold on for a much-needed victory. 21-14. The Giants back up to 500. Let's check in on the Seahawks and the Lightning Bolts. Chuck Knox hoping to lead his team to the playoffs, squaring off against the Chargers. Dan Henning hoping to keep his job through the season. Henny counting on this young man, John Freeze, his young quarterback. First possession, Freeze, play-action pass to a wide-open Anthony Miller, and the play goes for 24 yards. Next play, Freeze, play-action again. Freeze dumps to Steve Hendrickson, who makes a nice run. Look how big this guy is. Was he a linebacker or something? Yes, he was with the Niners. 21-yard gain. Then the next play, freeze, screen pass to Kendrick Taylor. And he is just gang tackled at the 26-yard line. Marion Butts showing flashes of his old self around the left side, and a big side it is. For a 17-yard touchdown run, San Diego led early, 7-0. First half, the Chargers defense was tough. Gary Plummer sacks Dave Craig. Leslie O'Neal punishes Craig with a monster hit, and then Martin Bayless puts the hit on James Jones, forcing the fumble. Seahawks down 14-0 under the watchful eye of the Seahawk and also that man, Dave Craig. He rolls right, hits John L. Williams, who runs in the end zone for the score. Craig topped 25,000 yards career passing with that pass. He had 376 yards passing on the day. Game tied at 14 late in the fourth. Craig scrambling, sacked by Donnie Elder. Then John Jr. Seau and Anthony Shelton sacked Craig deep in Seahawk territory. With 18 seconds left, John Carney, 54-yarder, wins it for the Lightning Bolts. That final is 17-14, just their second win of the season for San Diego, and they came off that bye, both of them last week, and then before that the two played again, but the result's a little bit different this time.
The Bolts have a good defense. It hasn't played that way this year. They look like it today. By the way, I collated this stack over here. Is that all right for you?
Thank you.
All right, we've got more highlights to show you here on this edition of NFL Primetime when we sweep up the papers. Hey, today was a big day for airing it out. A couple of quarterbacks had 400-yard days. We showed you that Mark Rippon almost threw to the moon, Alice. Speaking of which, Warren Moon did for 432 yards. Dave Craig, 376. Boomer, 361. There were tons of big days passing. National Football League, I think you know something about this, Tom. The Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Raiders. The Broncos had a chance to bury the Raiders in the chase for the AFC West crown. If they could do what they usually do at Mile High Stadium, that's win. With the orange hair and the funny glasses and the Broncos looking at floaters from Elway to Shannon Sharp, but he's just off his fingertips. Denver settles for 3. Marcus Allen off the injury list, hurt the first week of the season. Next possession, Marcus. You know he can throw it. Obviously, he didn't scout it. Touchdown to Andrew Glover. 7-3. The Raiders. Allen's thrown 4 TDs in his career. John Elway's thrown considerably more. Derek Russell makes the catch. Did anybody catch it? He goes in. He and the Broncos thinks it's a touchdown. Red Cashin and the crew talk it over, Tom.
Yeah, if you watch the replay here, Russell makes the catch, and Eddie Anderson and Terry McDaniel both make the attempt to avoid him instead of touching him. This should have been a touchdown, but the referees blew an inadvertent whistle.
But John Elway said on 3rd and goal, here's an inadvertent touchdown. He got popped. He paid for it, but the Broncos lead it 10-7 at the half on the 6-yard run. Third quarter, Jay Schrader has plenty of time. Tim Brown makes the move past Wyman Henderson. It's a touchdown. And the Raiders lead it 14-10. Still in the third. Robert Perryman for Denver fumbles going in, and Eddie Anderson recovers. Leads to a field goal by Jager. Dan Reeves' team is down 17-10. 8.5 to go in the fourth quarter. Mark Jackson catches a touchdown from Elway. 17-16, the extra point, and we're tied. No, block. Block by Scott Davis, and the Raiders by 1. David Treadwell hopes to get a chance to get in the game. Elway on 4th and 1. It's Steve Sewell. It's Treadway coming in. Down 17-16. No, the Broncos don't win it. It's blocked by Scott Davis and James Fitzpatrick. Art Shell 5-0 against Dan Reeves. 2 of those win where it's tough to win in Mile High Stadium. Always close games between the two. This was another one. The Raiders win it 17-16. The Broncos fall to 7-3. Raiders just one back. With the Broncos losing, could the Chiefs tie in for first place? They're against the Rams. Jim Everett. And the Rams are 3-6, but Everett to Henry Eller, 22 yards. Everett to Flipper Anderson, who was drilled by Lonnie Martz. 6 plays later, Everett to Henry Eller to touchdown. A great drive. Everett 12 completions in a row. We're tied at 14 all at the half. Early fourth quarter, 20-14 Chiefs. 16 in a row for Everett. Not quite 17. The record, of course, is 23. Midway in the fourth quarter, still 20-14 Kansas City. Everett gets it cranked up again to Henry Ellen. 22 yards down to the 44-yard line. Then it's Everett to Ellard. 25 yards down to the 19. And finally, Everett to Vic Damone Johnson. It's a touchdown. We're tied at 20. Where's the defense here, Tommy?
Well, you watch number 97, Dan Saliamua, at 300-plus pounds, drop off in the pass coverage. He's got Johnson on the play. Season go by just a little too slow to get that coverage done.
Well, Tony Zendejas has been perfect all year. Extra point field goes. No! It's doink off the upright. Instead of leading by 1, we're still tied at 20. Late in the fourth quarter, Robert Del Pino, usually a dependable back. It's a fumble. Deron Cherry strips it. Derek Thomas picks it. Goes to the end zone, 23 yards, a touchdown. Everett had a big day passing. But in the end, it was the Chiefs' defense that made the play. 328 yards goes for naught. And the Chiefs, who host Denver next week, find themselves tied atop the standings at 7-3, with the Raiders just one back in the excellent and competitive division of the AFC West. And for the Rams, they're down to 3-7. We've got more to show you here. We've got our primetime players coming up. Rushers today, so it's a big day for a lot of the quarterbacks. Reggie Cobb, first Buccaneer in over a year to grab the C-note, and they won. Barry Sanders a loser in that same game. Thermal, he's always on this list. Gaston Green had a good day coming back, but it was not enough to prevent the Broncos to lose to the Raiders. Primetime players, we've got every screen covered with the big plays.